evangelism, reaching Gen Z in urban spaces, and how God redeems all things. All of this in my conversation with the professional basketball player, Christian rap artist, and speaker, Ant Lee. Welcome back to the studio.
Hey, man, it's good to be back. Good to be back.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, you were with us in the studio, and would love for all those who didn't get the chance to hear how God has been moving in your life.
Yeah.
Would you give us a sense of how you came to know Christ and, that journey?
Man, so how I came to know Christ, my parents, they were pastors, brought me up in the church, so I was a pastor's kid. And just kind of going through that whole stage of life, it just kind of helped me instill just the things about God that I needed to know that could always stay with me all the way up into adulthood and where I'm at now. And so, I love Jesus ever since I was a young kid. And I was just involved in a lot of things that really kept me away from the things of the world. So, and in some ways it was great, and in other ways it had to grow me up so I can have and grow a real relationship with God without being under the safe haven of my parents' home.
Yeah, definitely. And in your journey moving into professional basketball, give us a sense around the journey from that into music.
Yeah, so I was playing basketball ever since I was young, and I grew up playing in high school. I was a late bloomer, but quickly, obviously I think God wanted to use basketball, for such a time as this, but I didn't know it back then. And so I was offered about 60 different scholarships one year after I just kind of locked in and focused on trying to be a good basketball player, and I was afforded a scholarship to Temple University, and then I ended up transferring to Ohio State University.
Yeah, and as you were moving from there into then playing for a living, what was that like because I know in your story there was this wrestle of how you can be a light and share the light of Christ through music and through rap.
Yeah.
So there was some overlap, right, between basketball and that.
Definitely. I would say that it first started in college. So I've always been doing music since I was young, since I was 12. So many people don't know, I've always been rapping. I've always been in music, played the drums, and basketball was another gift that I had. And obviously being 6'9", most people are looking at you like, you're gonna do music or you're gonna play sports. So it's like, that one was a given and I was just gonna let God do the rest. But when I got to college is when I really had that moment where I had to really know God for myself. I'm in college, playing at D1 school, and so a lot of things didn't go my way, and I started to lose trust in God because of the life that I was trying to live, but then I was dealing with a lot of things that the devil was trying to use to have me backslide, and it worked. And it worked for some years, and just trying to fit in with the crowd, being a basketball player, trying to be around, people that have influence, and trying to make it to the NBA.
Yeah.
Obviously, I went pro, and I did pretty good for myself. That's why I met my wife, who was a pro basketball player too, of 10 years. But during that time, I felt like God then led me to see that there was more that he wanted me to do in basketball. And so the other gifts that was already instilled in me started to rise back up again. And so that's when I saw that God still had use for me, and he wanted to use the basketball as a tool to now do the ministry that I'm doing now.
Yeah, I love that. And because I think for so many of us, when we finally get to that point of doing what we feel like we've been created to do, there's this sense of, can I do this for the rest of my life? I think so. But God's never done stirring in our hearts and using different parts of our story and redeeming the past and bringing things that we thought were done. He actually brings them back up again. So it was neat to see how you made it, right? You were playing D1 school, pro basketball, you were making money playing a sport, right? Which is a dream for so many people. And then you make this transition from there into music. And and as you've been doing this, you've been traveling from schools to schools. I mean, we're going to get to your tour later on. But you've been ministering to Gen Z. How have you? What's been stirring in your heart as you've been doing that?
So I can't go without giving how I got to this point.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So in 2023, the Lord put me on a fast, and he told me everything that I was going to be doing now, because I was just waiting to see, like, God, okay, I'm still playing basketball, but I want to know how much more use of me that you have while I'm playing basketball and how that's going to work.
Yeah.
So eventually I ended up coming to a team here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, and it was called KW Titans.
Yeah.
And so I ended up playing for them the last 2 years. So got here in 2023, played for them 2024 and 2025. And then that's when I knew, because I'm in North America, I can have the ability to really network, use my athletic prowess and that status to get into schools, to talk about certain things, and use my influence for good. It was different from being overseas, where you're in a lot of Middle Eastern countries and places where you can't really express your faith. Yeah. So that was a plus for me. And when I did that, different churches started hearing about me. And then even secular spaces, because I do motivational speaking and I'm an athlete, I can use the gifts that God gave me in both worlds. Mm-hmm. So in 2024 is when I thought about Light Up the City. Yeah. And when I was able to get into schools, I'm like, okay, let me use this to bridge the gap and bring Christian rap, but also have praise and worship. Yeah. That's a part of just what this culture wants and the young people need, and even older adults. It's for everybody. And when that happened, I started to see the impact grow in such a powerful way that I was like, God, you're really revealing and allowing what you spoke to me in 2023 to come to pass.
Yeah, I love that. We actually have a clip of you in a school
recently
doing this. Yeah, and I love this because this is, I mean, talk to me about, obviously when you go into Christian schools, you can be more forward about your faith. But when you go into public schools, what does it look like to share the light of Christ, to evangelize, to be a representative of Christ, ambassador for Jesus?
Man, so I'm gonna tell you, God has gifted me and given me some favor, because in some of these public schools, some of them may think that because you are a Christian, you don't know how to talk about practical things that can help lead a generation to just truth, purpose, and fulfilling destiny. Yeah. And because I know how God has gifted me and how to use that gift in any space that I can go into, I basically talked about a message called Made Different, Made to Matter. And I was invited to go to schools during the Black History Month. So I was at about 10 schools, but I wanted to make the message clear that even though we were talking about Black history, I wanted everybody to know that they were made different and made to matter for a purpose and a reason. And so what I basically did was I let people know that they were gifted, they were valued. And in these public schools, even though they may not acknowledge God, kids still needed that encouragement and empowerment to know that they're valued, they're special, and that there is a purpose for them living to do something great in life.
Yeah. And what I love about that is sometimes when we think about evangelism, we think it's from A to Z. We need to do the whole thing. Right. When in reality, and we have that pressure on ourselves too. We put that on ourselves, saying, no, I need to lead them across. I need to help them pray that prayer and take that next step. But when you think about evangelism, there's this sense where the Holy Spirit is the one that's going to transform hearts. Mm-hmm. Jesus is the one that said he would leave the 99 and go after the one.
Right.
So what I love about what you're doing is you are planting seeds. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 3, you are watering them through your message, through your ministry, through you saying, you are made for more. This next generation knows that. Right. They know, but they're not hearing it. Or they're thinking, oh, so that means I'm made to build a big platform for myself or this. Right. And I love how you were sharing that. So I would love for you to share with our Huntley family, give encouragement to the parents, to the grandparents who are listening, who may have children or grandchildren who do not follow Christ. What advice would you give them to plant seeds and water them that you've seen be effective messages to this next generation?
Wow, I would just say, be an example of how you live your life. Proverbs is one of the best books that can exemplify that, just in how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you love. Because a lot of times when you do those in just practical ways, they'll know that there's something different than how the world does it compared to how you do it. And it will lead them to start searching. Or when they get older, they will be like, my grandma always spoke positivity in my life. Or my parents was always pushing me for greatness and telling me the things that I needed to know that was gonna push me into my gifts and my purpose. And so one of the scriptures that I was using in schools, for example, just to give you some insight, was Proverbs 18:21. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? And but I shared that because I wanted people to know that words are powerful.
Yeah.
So I didn't even use the scripture. I just used the proverb.
Yeah.
But that hit so many people because
great.
they realized schools and people are going through bullying, they're going through identity crisis. And so the words that they speak into their life, it resonated with any and everybody. So I think parents can do that with their kids, and those seeds will sprout up.
Yeah, I love that. Now, our Huntley, for those of you who are with us, I know we have teachers and principals and parents. Some of you are on the PTA at your school. We have pastors. I'm a pastor. We have folks on deacon and elder boards, and those who are part of congregations. And Ant has a tour called Light Up the City. And this might be an opportunity for you to bring him into your context. And tell us about what that looks like and what that would be to come in.
I'm so excited to announce this because one thing I want to say is in Canada, there's not a lot of people that or churches that have really embraced Christian rap, and for many different reasons. But I'm glad that I have the opportunity to really share with people of how it works.
Yeah.
And I believe that it was created for us to see revival in this next generation, and raise up leaders to help them be mobilized and trained up to be a light in their city.
Yeah.
So this is really just it's more than a concert, but it is something that is helping galvanize and give people an ignited fire that's stirred in them. So obviously Christian rap is a part of it. We have praise and worship that happens. And I go into different cities and find great local artists that are anointed by God. And then they get to hear their music and also hear mine. But we're wanting to see revival happen where the next generation and current generation is coming back to God, and they're more on fire more than ever. And so, listen, cities, I'm still taking cities. There's a couple more churches and areas that we're adding to the tour, and it's really a missionary type work.
Yes.
I believe that God gave me this in 2024 to take it to not just to Canada, but the U.S. and across the world. So on the poster, you may see I got Virgin Islands on there.
Yeah.
So just people that have been hearing about it, they're seeing the things that are happening on social media, which is the power that we have with that.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage churches to bring something like this in because it will really help uproot what you're wanting to see.
Yeah, love it. And Lee, thank you so much for being with us in the studio today.
Thank you.
More to come. Stay with us.